Okay, boys and girls, let's go over chapter 7. So, as we know, today's topic is anger, and we know that Jerome is processing a lot of anger. We're going to see that in the next couple of chapters, how Jerome is so upset at what happened and the reason why he is dead. A lot of the things, or one of the main reasons why he is dead, is because of the racial injustice that has shaped his life and the reason why he's dead. So, as we're reading, I want you to pay close attention at how Jerome is feeling. So chapter 7 is from the section Dead. So we know that Jerome has been shot and he is now looking at how people are reacting to his death.
Dead. Preliminary hearing, Chicago Courthouse, April 18th. It's April. I'm 4 months dead. In the courthouse, I feel clammy and cold. Not weather cold, just empty cold. I'm stuck. Stuck in time. Stuck being dead. Ma, Grandma, and Pop are in the courtroom's front row behind the prosecutor. Reporters, sketch artists, Reverend Thornton, officers, and community folks fill the rest of the seats. Right behind the lawyer's desk are a white woman and a girl. Her daughter? Maybe. Both have sandy brown hair. Both look sad. There's no jury, just empty seats. The judge isn't tall. About the same height as my mom. She wears black shoes. Her nails are painted pink.
Okay, so we see here, boys and girls, that he is obviously feeling empty cold, right? And notice how he says, I feel clammy and cold. Not weather cold, just empty cold. So let's underline that. Remember to underline, we click that line. And then I'm going to just underline here. And I also want you to think of the setting, right? We see that he is in the courtroom. We know that there isn't a trial just yet, right? He's saying that it is a preliminary hearing. So I want us to keep reading and find out what exactly that means. Okay, so I'm going to underline that. So he's obviously feeling cold, maybe even lonely, and he obviously doesn't like the fact that he's dead. Okay, so I'm going to annotate that here. Remember to change the color. So Jerome is feeling cold. Sometimes we think like when someone feels cold, it doesn't mean that they need a jacket, but they're probably feeling alone, right? Alone. Okay, let's continue on to the next slide. We're going on to slide number 6.
Preliminary hearings, she said, don't determine innocence or guilt. They determine whether there is enough evidence for a trial, whether Officer Moore should be charged with murder. Seems lame to me. I'm dead, aren't I?
Okay, let's stop there for a minute. So notice the judge is actually giving us the definition of what a preliminary hearing is. It is basically a gathering to speak about what has happened, and then they later determine if there's enough evidence to have a trial. So there could actually be a jury, right, and make a decision if someone is innocent or guilty. So I'm going to circle the word preliminary hearing. So remember, we go to shapes at the top, find your circle, and then you have to make this transparent. And I'm going to change the color as well. I'm going to make it in red because it's a vocabulary word. And the author actually gives us the definition. So a preliminary hearing doesn't determine if someone is innocent or guilty, but they determine whether there's enough evidence to actually have a trial. So they're going to have this hearing. They're just talking about what happened in order to see if Officer Moore should be charged with murder. So Officer Moore, we hear that he is probably the officer who shot Jerome. Okay, so I'm just underlining that. It's telling us the definition there. All right, let's continue reading.
A policeman is sitting in the dock below the judge's chair. He has sandy brown hair too, glazed blue eyes. A lawyer is saying something to him, but he's not listening, just looking at the woman and girl. His family, I think. Officer Moore, can you answer the question? The attorney said. Sir? The officer looks at the slim man. Were you in fear for your life? Yes. He had a gun. said Officer Moore. Were you surprised later when the gun turned out to be a toy? Yes, it looked real. He was threatening me.
All right, so notice what we just learned here. That gun that supposedly Jerome had was a toy gun. That's shocking to me. So I'm going to add that shape. Remember, we could go to callouts and we can add that shape like that, right? And then you can actually write in there. Just make it smaller. I'm going to write oh, that's a little small. We'll fix it. The gun Jerome had was a toy gun. I think some of you made that prediction, right? So look at that. He had a toy gun. And we don't know if this gun that he had was actually the one that Carlos had, right? I know some of you made that prediction that he probably did, but we don't know just yet, right? So we're going to keep reading on to see. So, oops, let me go back here. Let me just move this. I wanted to move this to the side. So let's keep reading. Now, I notice here that as the officer is being asked all these questions, he kind of sounds scared, right? He doesn't answer the question at first. Like the lawyer has to ask him, like call his attention again. He's like, sir. And then he's asking him, did you fear for his life? And the Officer Moore, is saying, yes, I did fear for my life because he had a gun. Okay, let's keep reading on.
I shake my head. I'm never pointing a gun at the policeman. I walk closer to the officer. Why is he telling lies? The girl in the front row points at me, whispers to her mother. I look at the girl. Her eyes wide with fear. Her dad was scared of me? Her mother shoves her hand down.
All right, so if you recall, when we watched the video before we started reading the book, we knew that some people are going to see Jerome, right? And one of the people who is actually able to see him is the officer's daughter. Do you remember that from the video? So we see that here. Notice, as obviously when the officer is speaking about, why he did what he did, Jerome says that I shake my head. I never pointed a gun at the policeman. I walk closer to the officer. Why is he telling lies? So Jerome is saying that he's lying, that he never pointed a gun. He was not a threat. So all of a sudden we see that girl that's sitting in the front row whispers to her mom and she's pointing at Jerome. So she sees him, right? But her mom doesn't pay any mind to her. She just shushes her down. So I'm going to annotate here. This is important. So let's write down Jerome. Remember to highlight this in white so we can see it. Change the color. So Jerome is saying that he was not a threat to the policeman. However, Officer Moore is saying, let me put that capitalized. Officer Moore is saying that he shot Jerome. Let me fix that. That he shot Jerome because he feared for his life. Okay, let's keep reading.
The prosecutor continues. How old was the assailant? I thought at least 25. He was a man, a dangerous man. So you were doing your job as trainer? Yes. Were you upset to discover the man was a boy? A 12-year-old boy? Ma starts moaning, crying, softly and sharp. I was surprised. He was big, hulking, scary, Officer Moore said. You felt threatened. The officer pauses. I'm staring right into his eyes. He looks through me. He's studying his wife and daughter. His daughter studied me. I don't know why or how she sees me. He swallows. his tongue licking his bottom lip. I felt threatened.
Okay, so I want you to think, boys and girls, do you believe that the officer is telling the truth? Do you really think he felt threatened? So you're going to annotate. You're going to grab your text box. We can add it right here. Remember to highlight in white since we're already on that brick wall. And this is your thoughts, okay? So you can start by saying, I think that the officer is or is not telling the truth. Okay, annotate that. You're going to pick is or is not telling the truth. Okay, now let's keep reading.
Pop stands, shouting, "A grown man! Two grown men! You, your partner, Officer Witter, armed, threatened by a boy?" Ma wails. The woman judge pounds her gavel. "Quiet! Quiet in the courtroom! Black Lives Matter!" Someone hollers. "Jerome mattered!" shouts Grandma. "He was a good boy."
Okay, so remember today we were talking about anger, right? And how to show your anger. Notice that we're seeing a lot of people angry right now, right? Dad shouts, right? He stands up in the middle of the courtroom and shouts out, how is a grown man, two grown men, like the officer and his partner, right? And the other officers who are armed, how are they threatened by a boy? So he's obviously very angry, right? And then, of course, the judge starts to call order in the court and tells everyone to be quiet, but people are still shouting. Someone says, Black Lives Matter. And then Grandma also shouts, Jerome mattered. He was a good boy. So we're seeing everyone very, very angry. So let's add that annotation right here. So put it in, change the color. We're going to say we, or the readers, are able to see how angry everyone is. In parentheses, I'm going to put Pop, right? Grandma, and others. Because it says someone hollered. We don't know who it was, but others are also angry. Okay, let's continue.
"Order! Order!" yells the judge. Security guards move towards my parents. I collapse on the floor, feeling like I've been shot again. I'm furious. There's no order. Only swirls of noise, wailing, shouts, and commands. The court artist is sketching furiously. Reporters are pushing, shoving, shouting questions. Can there be justice? Officer Moore, are you sorry? Mrs. Moore, can you tell us how you feel? Did your husband do right? I don't hear any answers. What does it matter if Officer Moore is sorry? If his wife is sorry? If the whole world is sorry? I stare at the ceiling. It's painted blue.
All right, let's stop there. Notice all of the commotion going on here, right? People are shouting, there's no order. People are screaming and shouting out questions. They're wailing, they're crying, right? And everyone is very angry, very upset. And we see this in this scene. So I want to go back to this paragraph here. So remember, Jerome is the one telling the story, right? So he says, I collapse on the floor, feeling like I've been shot again. I'm furious. So now we're starting to see how Jerome is feeling, right? After all of this, and remember that even though there might be a trial, right? Well, they're trying to decide that now. But even if there is a trial, is it really going to bring Jerome back? No, right? So Jerome probably is feeling upset at this as well. Like he has to hear about why this happened and, how it happened and all that. And even though he's listening to all of this, it is not going to bring him back. But of course, people want justice, right? People want things to be done right. And if somebody needs to pay the price, if it is the cop or not, they need to make sure that that happens. But Jerome is furious. I want to circle that. So let's go up to the top to shapes. And I'm just going to circle I'm furious. Don't forget to make that transparent. And you could change the color. So we see that Jerome is obviously very, very upset as well. I'm going to annotate that, grab our text box right here. I'm also going to add that everyone is very angry, right? Everyone's upset at what is going on. So everyone is upset / angry Jerome is also furious. Okay, and let's continue right here.
I see you. I'm shocked. This white girl is standing, staring right at me, mouth shaped like an O. She trembles. Her eyes are crystal blue. She's not a ghost. She's Officer Moore's daughter. What does it mean? Not cool. Why can't it be Kim who sees me? Why this stupid girl?
All right, so again, we see Jerome being furious, right? He just realizes that this girl, which is the officer's daughter, right? Officer Moore's daughter, is able to see him. And he's upset about it. He's like, why can't it be my sister who sees me? Why this stupid girl? So let's include that.
3 plus 5 equals 14.
Sorry, guys, you had to hear some math from that. Okay, so let me change the color here. So Jerome is upset that the officer's daughter is able to see him. Okay.
6 and 5.
Okay, so let's begin, or let's continue. On the next slide, slide number 8, there's a reading pause.
11.
So because someone shouts out Black Lives Matter, obviously we know that Jerome is of color, so people are shouting that out because they feel like it's not fair that he probably got shot because of the color of his skin. That's why they shouted that out. So let's just take a look at this information here. So we know about Black Lives Matter. We've talked about it already, and we've learned a little bit about it. So someone in the courtroom shouts Black Lives Matter in support of Jerome and in memory of other boys who have lost their lives to racial violence. So let's highlight that. We spoke a little bit about that during class as well, racial violence. We know that people are, because of the color of their skin, they're being treated in different ways, right? With violence. The phrase Black Lives Matter can refer to both the social justice movement and the rally cry of many Black people and allies fighting for justice. So a lot of people think, anyone who supports Black Lives Matter, they only care about the social justice movement, like, being treated because of the color of your skin. But other people who support Black Lives Matter are really rallying for the people who are really rallying for everyone being treated equal, no matter what they look like and who they are. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, right? They think like, only if you're Black, you support Black Lives Matter. No, you can be white and support it too. You're just saying that you support that everyone, no matter what color they are, should be treated with justice, right? They should be treated fairly. So think about that. Make sure you have that highlighted. Okay, so we are ending, that's the end of chapter 7. Make sure that you go back, and you can go back in this video, rewind it, and go and add your annotations to your notebook for chapter 7 through 12.